boys and girls. It's Mrs. Mounier with another Bible story. Today's story is about a boy named Daniel. And Daniel was a very strong boy. Not strong like muscle strong, but strong in firm in what he believed in. When he thought something was right, then he stuck to it, and that's what he did no matter what. Okay, are you ready for the story? Get comfy. This is about a boy named Daniel who lived a long time ago in a town called Jerusalem. And Jerusalem was conquered by its enemies, an enemy army. The enemy army took Daniel to a place called Babylon. And they treated Daniel very well in Babylon. They took him and put him with some other very smart boys, and they taught him, they gave him good food, and they were kind to him. But one thing that Daniel stuck with from his days in Jerusalem was he always prayed to God. No matter what the Babylonians told him, he stuck with his belief in one true God. Well, when Daniel grew up, he was very wise, and the king really liked Daniel. He liked him so much that he put him with two other men as ruler and helper of the king. Now, unfortunately, the other two rulers that were working with Daniel, they didn't like Daniel very much. They were jealous of him. They even, you could say, hated him. They wanted to get rid of him in the worst way. And they thought, how can we get rid of this Daniel? He's just too good. How are we going to get rid of him? Well, they knew that Daniel prayed to the one true God. So they went to the king and were very sneaky. They said, King, you should pass a law that if people do not bow down and pray to you, meaning the king, then they will be punished and they must die. There are the two other rulers trying to persuade the king. Well, it worked. They persuaded the king to pass that law. Daniel heard about the law and he said, I don't care. I cannot obey that law. I cannot bow down and pray to the king. I will pray to my God. And he did. Every day he prayed. And he was very open about praying. There he is in his room. He prayed 3 times a day. And he made sure he prayed in front of the window so everyone knew that he knew who God was and he prayed to the real God. So those two other rulers, they watched Daniel closely and they saw him praying to God, not to the king. So guess what? They told on him. They went to the king and they said, you know what, Daniel is not following your rules. The king didn't like that this was happening because I told you he really liked Daniel. So he couldn't break his law. So he said, I'm sorry, Daniel, but you must die. Oh, that must have been very sad for the king and scary for Daniel because Daniel got put in this pit. It's kind of like a hole in the ground, a pit, and in the pit were hungry lions Can you see the lions in that picture? Well, I know I would be scared. And the king was scared for Daniel. He said, Daniel, I hope your God protects you. Well, what do you think Daniel did in that situation? He got down on his knees and he prayed to God to protect him. The king was so worried and upset about this. He was up all night long worrying about his friend Daniel. He was so upset. But he thought there was nothing he could do. He had to follow the law, even though it wasn't a good law. Well, first thing in the morning, the king ran to the pit with the lions. And he called down inside and he said, Daniel, did your God save you? And what do you think happened? Daniel shouted back, I'm here, King. My God has protected me. He sent angels to stop the lions from killing me. God knows I have done nothing wrong. The king was so happy. He had Daniel set free. Then he told his guards to put those other two rulers in the pit with the lions. I wonder what happened to them. I don't know if they were saved or not. The king quickly made a new law, and he said that everybody in the kingdom now had to pray to Daniel's God. God had saved Daniel from the hungry lions. Isn't it wonderful to know that God protected Daniel? And I know he will protect you too. Daniel prayed for God to protect him. And when you are worried or scared or in danger, the first thing you need to do is to pray to God to protect you. And you know what? He's going to come through for you, just like he did for Daniel in the pit of lions. All right, boys and girls, I'll be praying for you. Have a nice day.